Welcome everyone to the fifth draw of the 2019 U-18 Canadian National Championships, coming to you live from the Glen Allen Recreation Centre in Sherwood Park, Alberta. My name is Karsten Sturme, and alongside Dave Nedwin, we will be covering the action tonight. We would like to begin by acknowledging that we are competing this week on the traditional lands of the Treaty 6 nations, including the Blackfoot, Cree, Dene, Gros Ventre, Métis, Nakota Sioux, and Saulteaux nations. Indigenous people were joined by settlers and pioneers who together built this great community of Strathcona County.
Thanks, Karsten. We're at the Sherwood Park Glen Allen Rec Center. You can hear the crowd getting started here at the facility. They actually have two sides to the ice. We are in the arena side, and we have 5 games going on here. On sheet A, we've got Northwest Territories versus Newfoundland and Labrador. That's for the female side. On sheet B, we've got the men's game of Saskatchewan versus Prince Edward Island. On sheet C, we have our feature game, Newfoundland and Labrador against Alberta host for the men's. On sheet D, we have Manitoba versus New Brunswick for the female side. And on sheet E, we have Alberta host versus Yukon on the female side. Over on the curling club side, there's also 4 games going on. Sheet F, we have New Brunswick versus Nova Scotia. Sheet G, Ontario versus Manitoba. Sheet H, Quebec versus Nova Scotia host. And Sheet I, Nova Scotia versus Prince Edward Island.
Alrighty, so Newfoundland had first practice, and they put together 2 really good draw to the pins. So the first one covered the pin. And making no mistake with the second one, the boys from the Rock put the other one in the forefoot as well.
Yeah, the format is each team throws 2 shots. The team that's throwing first throws 2 clockwise rotation shots, draw to the button. They add the total distance. And then on the second practice, the team will throw 2 counterclockwise draws to the button. You calculate the total, and the team with the smallest or lowest number will have last rock in the first end.
Alberta, unfortunately, on their first one, came up just a hair light. They managed to grab a spot of the 8-foot. And on their second one, they slipped to just back 4. So Newfoundland will have hammer to start this game. So we are just about to begin first end action. As said before, the boys from Newfoundland will start this game with the last rock advantage.
Yeah, watching the draws, you know, and the rocks in the practice and the draws to the button, ice is fantastic. John Wall's been working on it here along with the local team here in Sherwood Park have done just a tremendous job. Yeah, the draws to the button were about 15 seconds to T-line and a ton of curl. They're holding the broom just outside the 8-foot, maybe even middle of the 12-foot and getting right to the center line. So just ice that's conducive to really great shot making. These teams are going to be throwing some big numbers in terms of percentages.
So what do you expect to see from these two teams here, Dave? We have Alberta boys. They're at an 0-2 record at the moment, playing Newfoundland at an 0-3 record. What are you looking for this game?
Well, I think both teams obviously want to get a win here today. Alberta boys had a really close one against Saskatchewan this morning. They were tied up playing the last stand, gave up a steal, so they knew they were able to compete at that. I mean, it's a really young team. Average age is 14 years old, so I mean they've got a lot of years to play in this. I know that they felt good about their game yesterday against Nova Scotia, the defending champions. They gave them a good run, and then obviously had a great game this morning. So I think they're coming out here, confident and looking for a win, as I'm sure Newfoundland is too. I mean, these guys, had a good game earlier as well, and they don't have the record that they wanted to start with. But I think the nerves are out. They played on the arena ice now, so I would think that we're going to see a lot of rocks in play, especially with the curl we have.
So getting the action started for us, Adam Elsenheimer is the lead for this Alberta team. He comes from Grand Prairie, Alberta, and curls out of the Grand Prairie Curling Center. And make no mistake, he successfully drew the top of the forefoot.
And you can see the ice that they're taking where the broom is for a wide open takeout. They're taking 6 inches of ice with takeout weight. So there's a lot of curl. They like I said, they have played on it. They know how to make the shots on this ice now.
So throwing lead rocks for the Newfoundland team, we have Aaron Feltham from Gander, Newfoundland. He curls out of the Gander Curling Club, and he is only 15 years old, but he has been curling for 5 years. A nice hit and stick leaves a hit opportunity available to Adam once again.
Yeah, we'll see them trading rocks back and forth here for a few, just getting the nerves out in the first end.
So you often see that in the first end, Dave. You see maybe a bit more of an open style. Is there any reasoning behind that?
Well, it's just a little bit of nerves too, right? I mean, the ice, they did practice on it, so they know roughly, how it's running. But there's definitely spots that they haven't thrown. So if it catches that frost, you could get a miss like that. But just nerves. I mean, they want to run them up and down once, get themselves comfortable, and then probably in the second end we'll see more. But what we just saw there was an example, as you know, of playing on arena ice, and it's different than a club ice. And if you're soft on that release, in other words, get it started just even a little bit, it takes off so fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that I've found in my experience, at least, is you really have to watch the passes that have been played early. When you're playing in an arena environment, we oftentimes see when teams are practicing and getting ready for that draw to the pin pregame practice, they're throwing the wide tracks only, and oftentimes you see those hits in the middle over curl, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody throws down the middle. I mean, we definitely try to, or I try and have my teams do that in warm-up just so something's thrown down there, but not a lot of people do, and it does catch people for sure.
So after that miss, Newfoundland and Labrador tried to split the house, but managed to come up a little bit light. Throwing second rocks for Alberta, we have Jackson Hebert hailing from Sexsmith, Alberta. The boys are working hard on this one. And after that great sweeping, they have managed to hold it and roll to the center line.
Yeah, great sweeping. And they're not throwing much weight either. I'm surprised they're not throwing it just a little bit harder to hold that line, but relied on the sweepers, and these guys can sweep.
Mm-hmm. That's really impressive for this age, hey? As we've said, once again, these boys are anywhere from 12 to 15 years old, but yet I know I sure wasn't sweeping that well when I was 12.
I had a lot of teammates and men's that I wish swept that well. No, they're everyone comes into this in such good shape, and you're right, they only are 12 or 15 years old, but there's just strong kids, right? I mean, they put a lot of pressure and technique too, right? It's one thing to be strong, but it's another thing to have the technique to sweeping, which is not easy.
So it seems like we're trading opportunity back and forth a little bit. It looked like earlier in this end, Newfoundland was getting something set up, but it really goes to show you that one missed hit right down the middle can really change the complexion of an end, hey?
Yeah, it does. And, here you see a situation where Alberta has two options. I mean, they could guard that, but guards are tough on this ice. With that much curl, it's really difficult to place a perfect guard. And if you don't make it perfectly, Newfoundland can probably play a little tap and roll behind. So, good call. They elected to peel that guard and did nose it.
So throwing second rocks for the Newfoundland team, we have Jared Davich, hailing from Gander, Newfoundland, and curling out of the Gander Curling Club. Jared is 15 years old and has been curling for 5 years. So next up in the lineup for Alberta is the third, Owen Fensky. Owen curls out of the Grand Prairie Curling Center in Grand Prairie, Alberta. And he is 15 years old and has been curling for 10 years. So that means he started when he was 5. Hey, Dave?
Starting them young. Little rocks, right? I mean, when
Yes.
I was 8 or 9 years old, I remember the first time I got a rock to the other end, it was a big deal. But with the little rocks these days, it's great to get kids started early.
So after a rollout by Owen Fensky, we see a bit of an opportunity here early.
Yeah, a half shot like that, and now that corner guard that stuck around comes into play. Pretty easy to get around there with a curl.
So throwing third rocks for the Newfoundland team, we have Ethan Davich from Gander, Newfoundland. So as our viewers may see, Ethan and the second, Jared, are twins.
Yeah, it's a family affair with their dad coaching as well.
Scott Davich. So it seems like they're just a hair heavy.
See that so often, don't we, in the first end, especially when a team practices first, so they're on a little bit heavier ice, then the other team has their whole practice, and now it's a person's first shot in a draw, and they overthrow it just that little bit.
And once again, it goes to show you really just have to not only keep a track of what the paths are doing on the ice as far when it comes to line, but really when it comes to weight as well too, right? Like they had attempted to throw the come around or the corner there already, so that was the second rock down the path, and you're naturally going to shave some of the frost off.
Yeah, absolutely. Watching, timing, seeing how they're sliding. Are they grabbing at the end? Are they still sliding? And here, they still slide.
So Owen Fensky on his second one successfully has split the house. Little bit of an interesting call. The peel was available to them, but they elected to go open side instead. Why do you think that is, David?
Well, I think their hitting this end has been not right where they wanted it. They tried to peel that guard once and nosed it. They felt the best way to bring Newfoundland away from that guard would just be to draw the open side and force them to hit it rather than attempting the peel, maybe a nose it, and give Newfoundland the same draw again.
Makes sense, especially because Newfoundland tipped their hand earlier that they seem to be inclined to play a bit more of an open end here as well.
Yeah.
So coming down the ice right now, we have the Alberta host team skip, Cortland Sonnenberg. If that last name rings a bell, it is because he comes from some pretty good bloodlines in curling. Hey, Dave?
Absolutely. I've played against Leicester many times in provincial playdowns, and we had the upper hand on them in a few of them where they honestly they truly deserve to beat us. So I'll give them credit for that. So yeah, great curling family, and of course Renee Sonnenberg. All of our curling fans and audience will definitely recognize her from many years at playing at a very high level, and now part of Curling Canada, helping with their coaching.
So I think it's safe to say that this team is pretty well coached, hey?
I would imagine, yes. My daughter's team is on tour, and we spend, a number of weekends with them, and we really enjoy this team and the family, and spending time with Les and Renee. My daughter and her team are here cheering these boys on all week as well.
So that's quite cool how it comes full circle. 10, 20 years ago, it was Nedwin versus Sonnenberg Sr., and now it's Nedwin versus Sonnenberg Jr., hey?
Well, 20 years ago might be a stretch. You're aging me a little bit more there, but not far off. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what's happened. In fact, I think, my daughter Alyssa just played against Cortland and the boys in the finals of the Mark Kennedy Bonspiel last weekend. So that's the second event this year that they've played against them in the finals of.
And what was the result of that one?
Well, my Alyssa will tell you that they wanted them coming into this feeling good, so they took it a little bit easy on them.
You got to pump up their ego somehow,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So delivering his first skip rock, we have the skip for the Newfoundland team. His name is Joel Kratz, and he is from Labrador City. Joel is 17 at the moment and has been curling for the past 5 years.
Well, great chance now. With that rollout, it gives a chance for Alberta to draw around that corner guard. They don't have to worry about drawing the open side anymore.
You also have quite a margin on this one. As long as you get a good chunk tucked behind the corner, it's going to be quite risky chasing it.
He tightened the ice up right at the end there, and I don't know that he needed to. The one thing about this ice, you do not need to be tight to a guard.
Yes.
He knows it right away.
You jinxed him, Dave.
Yeah. A little bit light, but he knew right away that that was going to overcurl. The one thing you need to do when you're in the hack is put it down where you think, but if anything, take a little bit more. I mean, he could have been close to center line and probably got a quarter around that guard.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I remember I had a coach who would often tell me, when you're out there and you're skipping, you have two roles. You have your job as a skip, and then you have your job as a fourth rock thrower, and making sure that you fully transition from that one role to the other role and fully commit to where that broom is often makes a huge difference when it comes to throwing that last rock, eh?
Absolutely, for sure. I had the benefit for many years of having Randy Furby just make sure that I was, set in what I needed to do. So that's a big advantage. But for most teams and for Cortland, had he been at the other end, he put the broom in the right place, but then he came down here and tightened the ice up.
And it's just small things like that that put a little bit of doubt in your mind right before you step into the hack, right? So after trading opportunities back and forth, Newfoundland successfully blinked the first and will take Cameron to the second end.
One of the things that you see at this event, which is really great, is the ability for the coaches to be right behind the ice and have a moment to interact with their team before they start the next end. You saw Cortland come down and Lester just be able to say, a couple words to him just to make sure he's set for the next end. And I mean, it's such a great tool. It's challenging enough as a coach to only have 2 minutes through an entire game to communicate with your team. So any additional interaction that you can have at this age is such a big benefit to the players and their development.
Yeah, it definitely facilitates the learning experience, I think. Oftentimes you contrast curling with sports like basketball or volleyball, where you have a coach on the sidelines constantly yelling instructions and direction to their players, right? Where it's a little different in curling. And I feel like especially at this age, when you can have that increased level of interaction with your players, it just really helps the learning experience as a whole.
Yeah, any interaction you can have with the coach is great. I mean, can you imagine, like you said, in a football game, having your coach only be able to talk to the players for 2 minutes in a 2-hour game? I mean, it's difficult in curling, for that reason. It's you have to remember so much by the end of the game, and the kids come off the ice, and you tell them remember that shot in the third end, the second stone. They don't remember it. It's so much going through their minds. So it's really helpful at this level to see that they can just have that moment to chat with the skips.
And even to compound that, I think for many of these players, it's their first time on arena ice or one of their first times on arena ice. So to have an extra set of eyes out there and an extra set of an objective mind out there giving them feedback, I think that's huge.
Yeah, well, for Team Alberta, this is their first game on the arena ice. And how many shots did we see over curl in that first end? I'm going to say 3 to 4 of them over curled in that first end. So they're just learning it too, right? They're just figuring it out. Newfoundland had a couple over curls well, so it's, it takes some time.
Hebert is working really hard to get this one past the guard, and it looks like he's just going to clip it. Interesting, once again, the weight choices for a lot of these hits. I remember a coach once told me, don't take the rock out of the equation when you're throwing those open hits.
Yeah, especially early in the game. You know, one of the things in the transition, I think, from playing on the club ice, which, by the way, is fantastic. It's got, I think there's about 4 feet, 4.5 feet of curl. But the transition from the club ice to the arena ice, the club ice you sweep when you think it's going to be tight. The arena ice, you sweep to hold it and then get off of it to let it curl.
Mm-hmm. So up next for the Alberta team, once again, is Jackson Hebert. A little fun fact about Jackson, he was actually born in the USA and is a dual citizen. Some curling idols of his include John Epping and Ben Hebert.
And even though it is Hebert, there is a difference in spelling in his name, I believe.
Coming up just a touch light, Hebert ends up with the center guard, and now it's decision time for Newfoundland, hey?
Yeah, they've actually got what they want here. They can get around that guard extremely easily and get tons of curl again. They don't need to be tight to it.
What would you say is the optimal depth for this, Dave?
Well, top 8 foot is probably great. If you get into that 4-footer button range, you're going to see Alberta be able to come down to it as well. So top 8, top 4.
And then your scoring area gets cut down.
Very nice.
Very well managed. So here Alberta has elected to play hack waiter. It looks like that rock is mostly buried, but with the amount of curl in this ice, it should be accessible.
Yeah, we're sitting right behind it, and you can't see much. I mean, maybe you can see a quarter of the rock, I think.
Looks like they're going to have to work on this one to get it by. Oh, that's quite the plan B, hey?
That was an awfully tough shot.
Yeah.
And as a thrower, too, you know, you're thinking the right way to miss is to tick on the guard and open it up. What you don't want to do is send it wide and miss everything. But the minute on this ice that you're that little bit tight, because in your mind you're thinking, don't be wide, you're almost already on the guard. So we saw it really over curl for him, which turned out okay.
So now Newfoundland is throwing it pretty hard right down the center line, hoping to make some action.
Great shot.
That's a little unfortunate where that yellow spun, hey?
Yeah, it was a great throw. Really nice.
So if Owen can sink one here, Newfoundland's in a bit of trouble early in this game, hey?
Exactly. Put one top 8 again, top 4, and you've definitely got Newfoundland still running that guard.
What really impresses me with this age group is just how straight these kids slide, hey?
Oh, it's so much different than when I was growing up. They're so well coached. Mechanics are so strong.
So it seems like he has slipped just a touch deep. I do believe that red at the back is out of the rings from the overhead view.
I think they're playing hack weight.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to move them. They could be coming down just with a draw, tapping them sitting on top.
Especially considering that, given that it's the second end, right down the middle, you might not have a good idea of where to put the broom down for this shot. Whereas we've played about 5 draws on that other side and know how to make that, hey?
Yeah, I think the out-turn draw would have been looking pretty good. You just saw it come down twice, like you said.
And it's interesting how small decisions like that, so by not playing that, you get a half shot out of Newfoundland, right? And then all of a sudden, Alberta's throwing their third draw down the path.
Yeah, and it's not that he threw it poorly either. They just, you know, they had to go to a bigger weight shot. And like you said, it's a half shot, roll out. Now you give Alberta the same shot again.
Looks like this one's a bit heavy. And Owen slips just a bit deep. Yellow is sitting 2, however. So Newfoundland, the initial call was to hit, but Scott was seen giving the timeout signal behind the sheets, and we're going to see what he has to say to his players.
Yeah, I think a good timeout. I mean, the hit is not easy. They've seen the draw a number of times, just anywhere in front of it.
Well, even if you look at it from a bigger perspective, really, right now the force is on, right? Like, to get out of this with a blank is asking for quite a bit. So if you're going to be forced, you may as well play a shot that you know, play a shot that opens up a little bit more aggressive opportunities, and maybe get a deuce out of this, eh?
Yeah, exactly. You're changing your strategy from elimination in a blank to saying, okay, what's the easiest way for us to get 2 points? So Coach Scott, dad of 2 of the players, came out and said, okay, hold on, guys. It's not an easy shot, that takeout. Let's just put one in there. So do you like this turn?
It's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of another. If you know the other turn, I would maybe elect to do that one instead, given that you do have some backing. But throwing the other turn brings a lot of unfamiliarity into the equation, too. I don't believe anybody's thrown an in-turn draw. So I think given at the stage of the game we're in, you go at the path you know.
Yeah, yeah. And even if you stick it, you know, halfway open, now when they make contact, it's jamming into
Jam
the other
opportunities,
ones, right?
definitely.
So they don't even have to totally bury it. Weight looks close.
Should finish if his weight's good. And after that timeout to discuss tactics, it looks like Newfoundland has put a rock in a pretty good position.
Perfect weight. If he could have had another, you know, 3 or 4 inches of curl on that, it would have been absolutely perfect. You can just see it all, so Cortland can definitely come down with a quiet tap and just bump it back, maybe roll even behind a little bit.
What do you think the best weight for this shot is?
Well, I think that ideally you're playing just back line, just a heavy draw. You just want to move it back past the 2 yellows and sit in front there. Any extra weight, you can't control the sweeping as much. There's so much curl here, you actually want to use it to your advantage, not take it away.
Yeah, making sure that you have enough ice on this is pretty important, I think. So it looks like he's maybe a touch hot.
It's drawing.
Never a doubt, hey?
Great shot. Very nice. I mean, they were worried about it not curling enough, and as it turned out, if it had curled anything more, it would have over curled and given them the same draw again.
Absolutely. I feel like his dad Les has made a shot like that once or twice against you over the years, hey?
I've seen a lot of those, yeah.
Out turn, skinny by the guard, get the inside flop. So now it's a bit risky times for Newfoundland, hey? They're still electing to play that draw. Would you maybe switch tactics at this point?
No, I like this.
Yeah.
They've thrown it. They know it. They know the ice. They know the broom. You know, they threw the draw to the button in the practice, so it's the same shot. Come down and corner freeze the top one, come to the back one, even sit center line, top button, and you're great. So there is some room for error.
At the end of the day, this needs some forefoot underneath it. Looks like they're going to be tight to the guard. The boys are furiously sweeping it to keep it straight. And they just skinny by.
Wow.
Just a touch light.
Yeah.
So I do believe Alberta is still sitting 2.
Yeah, another 1 or 2 feet away on that. It would have been absolutely perfect.
So Cortland has elected to come around on this one. Where do you think the best spot to close down the scoring area for this is, Dave?
Well, I mean, I always think that when you have somebody in trouble, that if you can put them in more trouble, add pressure to them, you want to do that. So, I mean, one thought is to play a guard. You cut off the draw path a little bit. The challenge here is any guard is almost easy to get around it. There's so much curl. So, you know, if I was them, a perfect spot would be just touching the center line, just biting the forefoot. And then error on the light side. If you're a little short, that's fine.
Very true. Looks like they have a good looking rock coming down the ice here.
There you go.
That's pretty much what you were saying, hey?
Absolutely perfect.
Does Newfoundland have something off that red, though, maybe?
Now they're looking at throwing big weight. Maybe a third of a rock they score. Might be there.
With the amount of action on these rocks, I definitely think it's there.
I think the only question is whether the yellow one,
at the back,
as you see behind the red one, jams or not, because you might have a little drag effect on it.
Yes, that's true.
I think it's there for 1, though. This will be one of those shots that you see a lot of yellows moving, and hopefully a single red one if you're Newfoundland and Labrador right at the end, sitting around in the forefoot.
So Joel Kratz stares this one down. He's going to throw some weight at this. Big kick. And it's humming down the ice.
Threw it great.
Looks like he has a good looking shot here. Third of her hawk and no doubt. He almost squirted it through the hole there.
Well thrown. I didn't think it would come back like that, but well thrown.
So Joel Kratz, light miscue on his first one, but makes it up more than enough with his second. Shaping up to be a pretty good game so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Both skips making great shots on that last end. And Newfoundland and Labrador will feel great about that. I mean, they were in a lot of trouble, and their skip comes through with a big shot for a single point. Takes the lead after 2 ends.
It's actually interesting you say that, Dave, because it's kind of two sides of the equation. I remember there were many times when I would be skipping, and I especially remember to my junior days, and it's kind of two-sided. On one part of the equation, you really don't want your skip playing those tough shots at the beginning of games, but the other side of it, too, is when your skip is making shots like that at the beginning of the game, it kind of puts some wind in your sails, hey?
Yeah, what a confidence booster for sure.
So after maybe getting into a bit of trouble last end, Aaron Feltham has been asked to draw his rock into the top half of the house.
We should see the corner guard go up, I imagine, or are we going to see the delayed corner guard with the 5-rock rule? What would you be playing?
I like the delayed corner guard at this stage,
yeah,
especially considering the fact that you are in an odd end. The blank here doesn't play poorly at all. You take hammer coming into 4.
So a lot of people might ask why they're not throwing the corner guard now. Maybe explain the delayed corner guard for them.
Yeah, so it's really a product of the 5-rock rule. For some of our viewers who've been watching for the past 10, 15 years, what I like to think of it as the Kelly Scott deuce with a rock that you can't peel. Kelly Scott back in 05, 06, when she was on her Scotties run, you would often see her play that. So the other team would put one top 4, you would hit and roll to the side, they would nose it over there, and then you would throw the corner. The thing with the 5-rock rule that is really interesting now is that you can't peel if you throw that guard on your second one. So I like to think of it as the Kelly Scott deuce with a corner that you can't peel.
That's funny that you say Kelly Scott. I totally remember that, but I didn't think of it until you said it. I grew up with Kelly Scott, and we both played at the Charleswood Curling Club in Winnipeg for many years.
However, that being said, if you're going to try to implement the delayed corner guard, it's quite important to stick around on that first hit, hey?
Yeah, absolutely it is. So trivia, do you know who Kelly Scott played with in her first national championship she went to?
A girl named Jennifer Jones, maybe?
There you go. That was a long time ago. You know your history.
Going back to the delayed corner guard play, the importance of sticking it is really crucial. Even if you do not get the hit and roll, and you nose, and then they nose, all of a sudden you're 2 rocks higher in the house, right? And
exactly.
A rock that might have had 4 foot underneath it now only has 8 foot underneath it.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
Your scoring area, if you do need to draw for 1 at the end, gets that much larger. So Davidge is asked to do the hit and roll to the inside on this one.
Trying to hold it.
Another overcurl down the middle, hey?
Yeah, we've seen 3 or 4 now within that 4-foot lines where they're just overcurling in, and it's just that soft release. It's not that he's missing the broom, and certainly not just one player. We've seen it from several players. And it's not that anybody's, off the broom by that much. It's just the difference between, the positive release out to the broom and just letting it go at the broom.
Just a matter of knowing your margins, I guess. I think of it sometimes like a golf analogy. You're putting on a green, and sometimes it's better to hit the ball in such a way that it just rolls into the front edge of the hole. Sometimes there are situations where you're putting uphill and you can hit it a foot past the hole and still get it in. So not only does that relate to a weight perspective, but you can kind of look at line like that, like where is my margin on it?
Yeah, I'll definitely leave the golf analogies to you because I'm happy if my ball is closer than when I started putting.
So Davidge is asked to do that hit and roll to the inside once again. Interesting that he has elected to hit the one that isn't in the 4-foot on this one.
Yeah, I guess he's not so worried about the one on the back of the 4-foot because they know how much curl there is. You can easily draw down to it or even move it if they needed to.
Very true.
Keeping control of the control zone, top of the house. Definitely wanted an inside roll in this, though.
He has a really good looking shot here.
Great shot.
Beautifully executed. A good freeze here does close down the scoring area, though, however.
It does. You notice a difference in weight between the two teams, too. The Newfoundland and Labrador team is throwing what I would say control to normal hit, and the Alberta team is throwing board on most of their hits. So just a different way of approaching it.
It looks like instead of the freeze, Alberta has actually elected to try to move this. With the amount of curl, it should be possible. Little speed wobble from Hebert, but managed to save it. If his weight's close, it should finish.
What a great shot.
A good shot indeed.
I saw that same type of delivery many times from Randy Furby, where he comes out and does that sweet speed wobble, as you called it. We just called it ego and talent.
Just goes to show you, I guess, there's no room for pictures on the scoreboard, hey?
And that was not an easy shot. I mean, he had to have absolutely perfect weight on that. But still a good chance for Newfoundland.
Because I do believe Newfoundland is sitting second shot.
Yeah, they'll try and move this 2 and sit 2.
If his weight's close, this should finish.
I think a little bit heavier.
Just a couple extra feet on that made all the difference, hey, Dave?
It sure does. That weight difference, it really shows up until it starts slowing down that little bit. But just that slight difference in weight, and you can see it's still not breaking too hard.
And I found that's one of the big differences between an arena environment and a club environment, right? The discrepancy between a hack waiter and a board waiter as compared to a control weight hit is often quite larger on an arena than it is in a club setting, okay?
Well, you're taking so much ice because there's so much curl. If you're expecting back line and somebody throws board, there's no way it's going to cover that distance of curl. Whereas in a club ice, you're taking less ice, so you can do a little bit more with the sweeping. Throw it tight and hold it, right? Whereas
yes.
Here, you can't throw it tight and hold it.
Know your margins.
Still a good chance. We've got they've got 2 Alberta rocks behind the tee line. Can freeze down to it now.
So Ethan Davidge with a shot to turn this end around. It seems like Newfoundland is getting into a good amount of trouble around center guards early in this game, hey?
Yeah, this is 2 ends in a row that they've just been on the wrong side of kind of those misses with the takeouts, giving Alberta a chance to put rocks in some really good spots. I mean, ideally, Alberta would have liked to have been in front of the tee line, of course, and made this impossible.
Comes up just a little bit short.
You can see about half of it. It's pretty tough for Newfoundland to do much with that, but I think Alberta's only option is the in-turn draw.
Yes, I believe so. With the amount of curl in this ice, they should be able to get at least half buried around that red one.
Right out to the edge of the 12-foot.
Owen Fensky with a huge opportunity to put a large amount of pressure on the Newfoundland team here. He has a really nice delivery, hey?
Yeah, just a nice release. A little bit light.
Comes up a touch light. Still not an easy shot for Newfoundland to get shot here. I think the tap is there if you skinny by the guard, but that's tough.
It is there. I mean, I think the goal of this is to really figure out how you're going to keep Alberta to 1. The one thing they don't want to do is overthrow it, split it open, and give Alberta an easy draw around to sit 3 buried. So if they're playing that tap, it probably needs to be just top 4-foot weight, but again, not easy. Not easy at all. So they're looking at the run back now.
Looks like they're choosing to run the yellow in. Do you like that?
Well, I mean, there's always a couple things you look at when you throw the run back. Is number 1, what is the best result you can make? And number 2, what is the risk associated with it? And right now, to me, the risk outweighs the benefit. A little bit wide, and they're jamming on the red one, giving Alberta a chance to come in and sit 4.
Mm-hmm.
So high risk. Not to say you can't make it, but very high risk.
And the overcurl doesn't play that well either, because if he overcurls and noses it, The draw path is blocked off over there too, hey?
Exactly. Well, if you nose it, you're actually giving Alberta a better guard to draw around.
Very much so. Big shot from Joel coming up. And he makes some noise.
Yeah, good shot. Made contact.
Absolutely. Seems like he's quite a good hitter, hey?
Yeah, he's thrown a couple of really nice ones.
High consequence of the miss on those two.
Oh, dangerous, dangerous. Alberta's looking at the out turn, but you know that rock that sat there as a guard, they can use that and come around it quite easily to the forefoot.
It's one of those situations where the best guard is almost second shot, hey?
Yeah, I definitely think coming in and putting, you know, sitting to and putting a lot of pressure on Newfoundland and Labrador is the call.
It looks like they're choosing to come around this way. Would you, do you like the in-turn better, maybe?
Well, I do. I mean, I think it's again one of those things that you get used to playing on arena ice and you see that shot a lot quicker than you might for somebody who, you know, like this young team who hasn't played on the arena ice that much. It looks really difficult from here. We're sitting right behind the sheet, but you and I know how much it does curl, and they actually don't even need to be close to that guard to bury around it.
Not at all.
But there is a shot here. I mean, he can certainly make this out turn draw too. It's just if you're asking me which one of the two is easier, I think the in turn around the guard is probably easier.
You have a bit more margin. Cortland Sonnenberg with the draw to sit two against a couple red ones in the house. And it looks like it's curling early. The audible from Owen Fensky for this to stop as a guard. And I think he has just stopped in time, but he's leaving Joel a run back, and a run back he just made, hey?
Yeah, I mean, he can play it again and certainly put Alberta in a bunch of trouble. You know, really, what is the goal of the end when you start the end, right? And I think that's the other question. And if the goal is to force a single point, well, probably draw and get into that forefoot does that.
That's very true. Looks like the Newfoundland boys are weighing their options out there. Looks like they are playing the run. Quite a tough shot, but he did make it on his first.
Yeah, so what happens if he's a hair wide, takes his red one out, leaves Alberta with a wide open hit for three?
Yes. One of those situations where you have to ask yourself if the risk in the shot outweighs the reward, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's not a hit.
Oh, he's not throwing it hard.
He's throwing a guard.
So he has elected to guard the path that Cortland has just attempted to throw on his last one. And it looks like he successfully blocked off that path. But the thing with that I look at that is Cortland had two draws available to him, no matter what you play, right? If you position a guard there, he's still going to have the wide in turn. If you position a guard on the other side, he's still going to have the wide out turn, right? So it's one of those situations where I think maybe a better option that I'm not sure if they even discussed was drawing and getting one in there yourself. Yeah,
they looked at, in their minds, what was the easiest shot for Alberta, and they said the out turn because they just thrown it, so let's take away the out turn. And I understand that. That makes a lot of sense. Other than, like you said, they still have a relatively easy shot with the in turn. So, yeah, to your point, sometimes the best guard is just put another one in there. So they're officially off the sheet with a broom. So on Sunday when we practiced here, it was the first practice, I came out and threw some rocks. I actually aimed at the button of the sheet next to us to draw onto the 4-foot on our sheet. That's how much it was curling.
Oh, that's crazy. This is a smart move by Cortland, though. If you look at it, all you need is full 8, and you're going to rack on that guard far more often than you're going to undercurl on this shot, so more broom is probably better.
Oh, I love what he did there. I love it. He just said, we don't have to be anywhere close to that guard.
And is it going to stop in time?
I think he's got it. Oh.
Ooh.
No, I think it's 2 yellow.
Close. I think it is 2.
2 it is. Love what he did there. I mean, he took so much ice. He knew he didn't have to be anywhere close. And probably on 3 draws that he's thrown so far today, he's been tight and light on 3. So he just said, let's open it up, throw it, and let the curl do his job.
And even look where that rock landed up. That rock was biting the center line when all was said and done, hey?
Absolutely.
You could have taken 2 feet more ice and you would have been good too.
Yeah, that's incredible. And he knows his rocks have been curling, maybe even more than the rest of the teams. So just open the ice up a little bit more. Really smart.
So make no mistake, Alberta comes back in the third end with a deuce to take the lead in this game. It looks like these Alberta boys have a pretty good draw weight early in this game, hey?
Yeah, they do. They both the second end and that end, they were putting the draws, 4-foot, putting a lot of pressure on Newfoundland and Labrador. Yeah, they're catching on to this. This is their first game on the arena ice too, so they're catching on to it.
So the Alberta host team has been asked to throw their first rock into the top half of the house here. Ideally top 4. They have a nice looking shot coming up here. And Newfoundland has decided to throw the corner right off the bat.
Yeah, no delayed guard on this one. I think part of it has to do with the fact that the Albertas don't overcurl and is not really on the center line.
That's true. That rock isn't a huge threat right now.
And it's tough to guard.
Yes. So Dave, given the amount of curl that we're seeing on this ice, what do you think is the optimal depth for this corner guard?
I would say halfway to tight, so halfway between the hog line and the house to even really tight. That's pretty good. I mean, but I think, I think that the corner guards could be a little bit tighter to center, just to give yourself a little more margin for error.
Yes.
As they get too far out there, the rings are getting so narrow, to stay in the top of the house becomes a little bit more difficult.
That's true. So the Alberta boys are debating back and forth whether to rock in the top half of the house or whether a guard is better. Looks like the front end has convinced Cortland to throw a guard.
Yeah, we'll see if they can take enough ice for it.
The Alberta lead may be a touch heavy on this. And it looks like they are going to slip into the house.
Yeah, definitely the right way to miss.
Yep. Far better to be there than high guard. So they've elected to play control weight at this, David, instead of maybe heavier weight that you would more classically seen for doubles. Can you maybe explain why that is?
Well, I think what's key for them is that they've thrown this shot 2 or 3 times and rolled out on the wide side, and it's really important for them to stick. So they don't have to make the double. They could sit in front of the yellow one. They could, yeah, I mean, that's a good shot. Sticking is what was really important.
It looks like Alberta may be shot. But the interesting thing is actually where that yellow one rolled to, hey?
Well, you know, a lot of people look at it and be, well, they didn't make the double. But I would argue that yellow rock is actually advantage Newfoundland and Labrador.
Mm-hmm.
If they get a chance to draw around there, it's backing for them. It can actually be used to their advantage. Can't overcurl on this.
Oh, is it going to get it? It ticks the yellow on the way by, but still leaves town.
Good sweeping.
Very good sweeping. But still, I'd have to say opportunity Newfoundland here.
Yeah, I really like the fact that he's not worrying about the two yellow stones in the house right now. And he's saying, we put the corner guard up. We put it up for a reason. We're going to go around it now and put pressure on Alberta.
Even if he doesn't get shot rock on this, it's still a problem for Cortland and the boys to deal with, hey?
Yeah, it really doesn't matter right now. Just get one buried.
Looks like this is over curling, but there is that yellow in the back there. And a pretty good shot.
Yeah, not bad. But we saw how tight they were to the guard there, and they don't need to be. You could clear that guard by 2 feet and still get where you want.
It's interesting. I remember my first couple times playing on arena ice, and obviously there is a shift where you have to get by guards in a club by 2, 3, 4 inches to get buried. And then I feel like the thing that really helped me is I was like, okay, let's take the guard out of the equation. Let's just try to draw it to that spot on the ice as opposed to play the come around.
That's exactly right, yeah.
And a little narrow on the hit. And still advantage Newfoundland here.
I really like the weight that Alberta plays on their takeouts, but on this ice, to throw that weight, you need to be just a little more positive to the broom.
Well, I think there's also knowing the path that you're on too, right? I think that's as wide as we've seen a hit in this game, right?
That's a very good point.
And oftentimes when you throw hits out that wide, you tend to run into a bit of frost.
Whereas on the other hand, we see more weight from Newfoundland and Labrador and just throwing it through that curl a little bit. And they don't need to throw peel on that.
No.
Control would have been perfectly fine.
Newfoundland and Labrador had elected to throw the run back on their last one. Was there maybe a different option available?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple options there. The biggest thing you want to do is make sure you keep your rocks in play. So had they thrown, a draw and they split theirs open, maybe get another one in the rings, open the yellow one up, it gives yourselves a lot more room for error.
Owen Fensky with some heat. And successfully peels it out without a doubt.
That's a good throw. Very nice.
He's a good little shooter, hey?
Straight as an arrow.
And Newfoundland and Labrador is once again electing to play the run back.
Which I think makes sense now. They don't have another rock on the ring, so might as well make the run back stick there. You might stick it right behind your shooter.
Looks like they're close on this one. And after some fantastic sweeping, they did save it.
And that was a little bit nicer weight. They use the curl, use their sweepers.
Oftentimes, I feel when you're making those run backs and the objective is to stick the rock that you're running back, maybe peel isn't always the best answer, right?
Well, I think we see on TV so often the accuracy of the top curlers with big weight. So when you see them practice that run back, you're throwing big weight. You get into this game, you throw big weight. You don't have to, right? You don't need to throw it on every shot.
Well, I feel like it actually widens your margins a little bit. You don't have to make it right out of your hand all of a sudden, right?
Exactly. Really nice throw by Alberta.
Mm-hmm.
Just edge on edge with the guard.
This one's got a lot more speed on it than the Alberta one. And it does not curl up enough.
Story of two tails, isn't it? With
Very
Newfoundland
much so.
and Labrador throwing the bigger weight, overthrowing things a little bit through the curl, but icing it for the curl. And Alberta, their hits a little down on the weight and just over curling.
Just a bit of miscommunication, hey?
I think so. Yeah, we definitely heard there that was more weight than he was expecting, anyways.
So Cortland Sonnenberg with a draw to split the rings and maybe turn what was looking like a blank into a force, eh?
Yeah, anywhere in the house.
I've always found that shots like this are huge in curling. The shot after the miss, the capitalization opportunity, right?
That's very true. I mean, if he ever comes up short on this, all of a sudden it's turned again to Newfoundland's advantage.
That's true. But make no mistake, Cortland's draw weight is bang on.
So do you try and generate a deuce still? I mean, draw around that even, get half buried, or just hit it and play for your single?
See, I think it's a very similar situation to the second end here. Right now, you're more than likely forced, right? And with the amount of curl that we see in this ice, I would be very much tempted to throw an out turn and attempt to bury around that one over there.
Yeah, I agree. And it also gives you, I would call it a warm-up shot for your last shot.
A rangefinder.
You're probably throwing a draw on your last shot for one. You've got anywhere in the 8 foot. Throw it on your first shot and make sure you've got that down.
And even the age-old saying, the easiest way to get a rock somewhere is often by drawing it, right? As opposed to hitting and rolling all across the house to there.
Yeah, realistically, this will be a hit, and Alberta hits, and they'll be forced to their single.
So it looks like this one is hanging a bit. And has hit and stuck. Just a huge difference in the amount of ice Alberta is taking as compared to Newfoundland, hey?
It is, yeah, for sure. You heard Owen say there that we're shot, you know, Cortland. We could draw, and Cortland waved that off pretty quickly.
Cortland Sonnenberg with an opportunity to sustain the force here. Is it going to come up enough?
He's trying. Looks pretty good.
Moved just enough at the end.
They're really zoning in on the ice and the weight to throw for the ice now.
Yes. More to your previous point, Newfoundland has elected to play the draw on this one, and it just goes to show that obviously he's drawing to the 8 foot, very makeable shot, right? But if he had a rangefinder on his last one, especially considering that Joel's been throwing a lot of hits this game, right?
Exactly. And even if he got no better than edge on edge with the yellow rock behind it,
Still makes things a little dicey.
Yeah, you're making Alberta play a difficult shot. So draw for one, anywhere in the 8 foot.
The boys are cleaning it, which is always a good sign, hey?
Yeah, I think he looks pretty good.
And make no mistake, the boys clean it all the way down the ice. And a great draw for one.
I think both teams probably pretty happy with that. Alberta got their force.
I think
Again,
so.
Newfoundland and Labrador makes a nice shot for their point.
So that brings us to the fourth end break. It's time for the teams to have a 5-minute break, meet with their coaches, maybe grab a quick granola bar or two, and get ready for the last half of the game. We will be coming back in about 4 or 5 minutes with some score updates from the other sheets. Sounds good. Alrighty, we are back watching live action on draw number 5 here at the U-18 Canadian National Championships. As we move into the back half of this game, we're going to take a quick look at some of the big shots that were made in the first half. This is Cortland's last rock in the 4th end to force Newfoundland to make a pretty tough draw for 1.
Yeah, I think both teams probably pretty happy with how the first 4 ends went. Some really good shots being made, figuring out the ice a little bit. Probably a good chance in the 4th end break to regroup and just, you know, point out a couple of things that they can work on.
And this was Joel Kratz's last rock in the 2nd end. Looking at 3 yellows, he made a fantastic raise.
Joel's made some big ones.
This is Cortland's last rock in the 3rd end to grab a deuce and take the lead in this game. And that brings us to this end. So, some quick score updates from other games. In girls action from draw number 5, on sheet A, we have Northwest Territories versus Newfoundland. Newfoundland has jumped out to an 11-0 lead after 4 ends. On sheet D, we have Manitoba girls versus New Brunswick girls. The score is New Brunswick 3, Manitoba 2 after the break. On sheet E, we have the Alberta host team versus Yukon Territories. Alberta host team is currently up 12-1 after 4 ends. On sheet I, we have Nova Scotia girls versus PEI girls. They are in a close match, tied at 1 apiece after 5. And in other boys game action, on sheet B, we have Saskatchewan boys versus PEI. They are in a battle. PEI is up 3-2 over Saskatchewan. On sheet F, we have New Brunswick boys versus Nova Scotia boys. They are tied at 3 apiece after 4. On sheet G, we have Ontario versus Manitoba. Manitoba is up to an early lead, 4-2. And on sheet H, we have Quebec versus the Nova Scotia host team. Nova Scotia host is up 3-2 after the break. Lots of close games out there, just like this one, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that's interesting to me, and I don't know if you think the same thing, but when I look around and I see PEI and Saskatchewan and even players on the Newfoundland team, for example, the number of players that have like sort of that Manitoba tuck delivery. I don't think I realized that there was that many young players throwing like that, and they throw like an arrow. Like, I mean, they're sliding and throwing fantastic like that.
Yeah, that's remarkable. I remember when I was younger, I would have probably been about 11, 12, maybe these boys' age, a touch younger. And I actually tucked myself, and I remember I had a coach tell me once, if you keep that up, Karsten, your knee's going to explode in about 10 years.
That was the exact same... That was the same threat that I had from my parents as I was growing up and living in Manitoba. You know, it was kind of the thing to do, and I was so convinced that if I even did it a couple times, my knee would blow up.
So fingers crossed for all the young knees out here.
Oh yeah, well, there's lots of great players that have slid with the tuck delivery for many, many years.
And I guess it just goes to show a little bit of the shift in thinking over the years. Oftentimes, even 10, 15 years ago, we were very focused on the textbook curling delivery, quote unquote, the flat foot, handshake release, stuff like that. And now it's I feel like we've shifted our view to a little bit more functional. Like, let's find a way to get from point A to point B in a way that works for that player, that is straight, that is reproducible. And I think that's the way that you build champions, quite frankly.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's not everybody's going to be the same. I mean, you look at so many great players over the years that really what they did is they fostered their natural talent. And you know, I think at times you can almost coach that out of a player instead of trying to figure out what is the best way that they can throw. And mechanically everything needs to be sound, right? But the way that I threw or you throw or that someone like, you know, Jeff Stoughton or Kerry Burtnick, I mean, everybody had different deliveries, and they were all solid.
So as we move into the back half of this game, Dave, what do you think? Advantage Alberta or advantage Newfoundland?
Well, I think it's been pretty even so far. There's been some really great shots by both teams, and both teams trying to figure out how to make shots on this ice. I think what we see here in starting the fifth end is Newfoundland and Labrador made a fantastic draw to come around a rock that was just short of the rings and have that one on the forefoot now. So they came into this end and had a conversation about how to make shots on this ice, and it looks like they've come out, with some confidence here in the fifth end.
So Jared Davidge with the attempted center guard. A little interesting thing here. So Jared, it says his favorite curler is Mark Nichols. You go to his twin favorite curler, Brad Gushu.
I'm sure that they'd both be happy to hear that. I'm guessing that all 4 players will either be a player from the Gushu team, is my guess, as their favorite curlers.
Yep, Aaron, their lead, his favorite curler is Brad.
And Mark Nichols, I'm guessing.
And the skip, Joel Kratz, is Mark Nichols. So we're tied 2 apiece in Brad versus Mark war. That just clipped the guard. Those are tough ones, hey? You're kind of caught in between as a skip. You see that rock coming down, and you're not quite sure if you're going to get by or if you're not going to get by, but I feel like those are the ones that oftentimes come to haunt you, the ones where, say, if you would have racked and fully removed the rock from play, as opposed to just love kissing it and taking it to the side, hey?
Yeah, no, that's true, because they've definitely cut off that in-turn draw now as well, if it ever comes down to that. And Jackson threw great weight on that. I mean, it was perfect weight. They've just seen his over curl a number of times just by that little bit.
And regardless of whether it's a product of maybe the rock is curling a little bit more, maybe Jackson just isn't throwing as positive this game, I feel like the functional fix to either of those is you just got to widen out the broom a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Take another broom width of ice, because that's all they need. Well, here's the discussion, right? So Owen's in the hack and saying that I need a little more ice for that, but there is that guard there, so they got to be a little bit careful.
Mm-hmm. Fun fact about Owen Fensky: he has a dog named Jake that holds a grudge when he is away. And a beautiful hit and roll.
What a great shot.
Owen's making a ton of shots out here tonight.
A good line call, too. I mean, that's so hard. Cortland called that really well, got the sweepers on it. They held it.
Especially, I feel like when you're playing rocks that are this lively, rocks are quite heavy. They have really aggressive striking bands. So oftentimes to make a precise hit and roll like that behind a single guard is a lot tougher than it looks.
Yeah, absolutely. So a run back attempt.
And just a little bit on the full side. So now advantage Alberta. Remember that they do have the hammer in this end, so this is an opportunity to split house, sit a couple, one maybe behind a corner guard even.
Well, trick is making sure they're not behind the tee line. There would be a double if they slide too far.
He should have no problem burying this. It's looking like these Alberta boys are having quite a good handle on the playing conditions now, hey?
What a great shot. Yeah, they came by that guard, what they thought was a ton of room, but we're right behind it, and that is perfectly buried.
Joel Kratz with a hit and roll attempt here. We need a big shot from Joel in order to save this end.
Well, I think most important thing right now is make sure he sticks for shot rock. If he rolls out, gives Alberta a chance to come around that guard again.
So, fun fact about Joel, he loves running.
From who?
Joel, the skip.
No, running from who?
The dog that has a grudge.
Yeah, exactly.
On the other team. Oh, they just ticked it. So big opportunity for Cortland. He has decided to come around the corner. You have to be a little bit careful coming around the corner, though. If you slip deep and give Newfoundland an opportunity to freeze, they could take the end away from you.
Yeah, they could. Even if you're back 8 foot, that double might be pretty easy and stay buried. I guess the other shot could be just freezing on yours behind that corner guard. You don't have to be behind it.
That's very true.
I mean, I don't think there's any chance that Newfoundland Labrador is going to play a draw against 3. They're going to hit something.
No. And the likelihood, if you were to draw and freeze on top of that yellow in front of the house, the likelihood of him making the hit and roll across the house right behind that, very slim. You
can let him try it a dozen times. And, you know, it's very, very difficult to make.
Cortland with a really nice rock coming up here. They're sweeping really hard. And whether by design or accident, I think that's the perfect spot for that rock.
It is. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely perfect. So to your point, Joel does have a hit and roll. You know, certainly can get his team out of this end, but it's a very difficult shot.
Joel's had to throw a couple of these hero shots, though, this game, and he's been quite close on a lot of them.
Well, the one advantage he has is he just threw it.
Yes.
I'm guessing he'll throw just a little bit more weight than he just threw. He cut it down for that roll and all of a sudden saw the curl come in, so I'm guessing he'll throw just a touch more weight.
Looked like the throw was good.
I think he's close.
Oh, he's really close. Oh, he's super close.
Great shot. Very nice attempt.
But that just goes to show how tough the shot was. Like, he was millimeters away from making that on the rock that he hit, and still leaves quite a straightforward shot for Cortland to grab 3 and take control of this game.
Yeah, edge on edge with the yellow one that he just threw, so he's got to be a little careful.
Not a gimme by any stretch.
No, we've seen a number of shots down the middle take off early when they're thrown softly.
Yes.
So he's still got to be out to the broom.
Good positive release. They're calling off early.
Very nice.
Never a doubt. That's generally a good sign when one guy is saying yes and the other guy is saying no. If you're a sweeper, you're like, well, we're probably close.
Well, a big end certainly set up by Owen. 2 really good shots by him, and leaves his skip with a couple, nice draw and nice hit and stick for the 3 points.
And just like that, what was maybe looking like advantage Newfoundland earlier in that end, I recall they were attempting to throw a center guard on one of theirs even at the beginning, can change so quickly, hey? So as we move into the 6th end of this game, we would like to thank a couple sponsors that make this event possible. So Platinum sponsors, Alberta Sport Connection and Strathcona County. Silver sponsors, 840, CFCW, Derek Fika Dental, Frontier Valve International. And finally our bronze sponsors, Boston Pizza, Sobeys, Jugo Juice, Asham, Dynasty, and Driving Force. So, fun fact about Adam, the Alberta lead who just threw. One tricep, the one that is on his lower hand on the broom, is way bigger than the other. And this really concerns his chiropractor mother. I feel like his chiropractor mother may have written that.
Oh, that's really funny. He's got the curler's body.
So Newfoundland throwing the corner guard early in this end, hoping to set up some offense. And if you just heard a lot of cheering, that's because we have handshakes over on sheet A. Newfoundland girls are the winners over Yukon territory. Adam is throwing his second lead rock here. The goal is to put another one in the key.
Yeah, they're playing the same turn that he just threw, which seems very normal. Other than it looks like you're going to be on that red guard for so long until it starts curling.
Yeah, you're flirting with that corner, that's for sure.
Great shot.
So here we see Newfoundland has elected to ignore those rocks in the forefoot and instead just play a straight come around the corner. Are there any other options available to Newfoundland at this moment, maybe?
Well, I think this is okay. I mean, they could certainly be coming down and tapping that Alberta Yellowstone in the top forefoot and sitting in front of them. Being that this is, there is two top forefoot. Alberta's going to be into peel mode, but at some point they could guard those.
I guess this is also taking advantage of the 5-rock rule, right? If we're playing last season, you can walk up, peel that guard, right?
Exactly.
But a little bit different now, hey?
It is. Yeah, come around it. They still can't do anything with it.
And I feel like this shot is really quite different than it used to be under 4-rock rule, because all of a sudden now, obviously you can't miss it wide and go by the works, but the consequence of missing it tight and taking off that guard.
Yeah, same thing. It's on the guard.
So it's interesting, I think, that they chose to throw that much weight knowing that that guard couldn't be removed. I think oftentimes you are up a couple points, but if you just look at it from the perspective of where has the most margin, maybe a freeze would have been a better option there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you could play, back line and hack. If you get by, you tap it through. I mean, you don't have to play anywhere close to that guard to make the shot. And if you ever rub the guard, I mean, you're probably rolling in front of your yellow ones and not taking the guard completely out of play.
Indeed. So we see advantage Newfoundland here. They have a chance to draw another one around the corner.
I'm assuming they're playing the draw again.
Yes, I believe so. Jared Davich throwing the second rock, and now I'm not sure if this is a Newfoundland thing, but fun fact about Jared, it says that he likes driving side by side.
I noticed on a couple of their profiles there's side-by-sides and snowmobiles.
I'm not sure. Maybe there's a game I don't know about in Newfoundland or something.
I think they're just, they like being outdoors. There's lots of open space there. They like their side-by-sides and their recreational vehicles, and yeah. I'm right there with them. So now they can peel.
Yes. And Cortland walks up there as fast as he can to put the rock by the corner guard.
Guards are no gimmies on this ice either because it curls so much. If you're a little bit light, they can still get at the back ones. If you're a little bit heavy, it probably over curls.
That's very true. So here Newfoundland has elected to make the double on the yellows. Do you think this is maybe perhaps a touch early?
Yeah, I would say so. I think probably just tapping, sitting in front of them is probably the shot if they want to go after them. I mean, they could throw a corner guard on those red ones. It's a good shot.
Fantastic shot. Like, obviously, he made it great, no doubt about that. But the thing that I look now is that Alberta's going to have about 4 rocks here to try to get out of this end.
Yeah, and you sort of have to assume that those 2 rocks there will be doubled relatively easily, which means that they're going to have 3 more chances to make 1 more double.
And Owen Fensky has made a couple of these this game, hey?
I think he's pretty good.
Money.
Yeah, you got to like it when your skip doesn't know what to say. Cortland was like, looks good. So yeah, to your point, Carson, I think that probably hitting that in a best case scenario now, you're going to get 2.
Well, it's just a staging thing too, right? Cortland obviously tipped his hand a little bit when he walked up there and he said, I'm going to peel the corner guard. So I look at that as the other skip has just showed to me what he's anticipating doing. So if I can throw up that corner guard, I can probably burn off a couple more rocks.
Exactly.
And Newfoundland successfully splits the house.
Yeah, great weight. What do you think that doubles there?
Oh, that looks awful thick to me.
It's pretty flat.
You need Kevin Cooey weight on this if you have a hope of making it. Owen comes firing out of the hack. And noses it.
Which was the most important part of that shot, was staying for shot rock.
I'd have to agree. A good hit and roll here splits the house for Newfoundland, but a slight over curl, maybe another nose hit perhaps, makes that double that much easier for Cortland. And it looks like they're sweeping it hard for that outside roll. And not quite. Now I'd say there's a pretty natural half rock double there.
Half rock, yeah, or a little less.
Quarter might be a touch then.
So the thick quarter, we'll call it.
Yeah. So here's an interesting thing that's happened a couple times this game. You see Owen Fensky often has something that he wants to communicate to Cortland, but seems to maybe only remember it when Cortland is halfway down the ice.
That's, I'm sure that Les Sonnenberg is making some notes right now about that. It's really important, I think, and you can tell me what your thoughts are, that the skip has the broom exactly where they want before they leave the house, so they can visualize that shot, not get down to the other end and see it move to a different spot.
Yeah, I think there's even a confidence thing, right? Like the skip kind of has his sights set. He knows where he wants to hit that rock. And even you want to put your skip in the most confident state of mind as they're going down the ice, because they're the one who's going to be throwing that rock, right? So the ice that maybe looks good to you isn't the same that looks good to your skip.
Yeah, exactly. And Cortland's been down at this end the entire end, right? He knows where he puts it from here. It's a different perspective for the third to come down and see it from the reverse angle, too.
After a slight miscue, Newfoundland has a free crack at splitting the house here to set up a deuce and get back in this game.
It was well thrown by Cortland as well. He didn't miss by much. But yeah, big draw here.
To cut that 3-point deficit, potentially reduce it only to 1. And it looks like Joel has a really nice rock coming down here.
Into the heavy curl now. Don't lose the rings.
And they managed to hang on.
So we just heard some additional cheers there as we see that Team Alberta host for the females came out with a win over, over Yukon.
Cortland Sonnenberg throwing his last here, attempting to hit and stick and maybe make things a little tougher than an open draw for Newfoundland. They're a little tight. They're sweeping early. They held that really straight. I thought he was for sure rolling out halfway down the ice.
Yeah, good sweeping.
And the most impressive thing to me is Jackson Hebert, the guy who was on the inside on that shot. He's only 12.
Yeah, I know. Big kid, eh?
Yeah.
Big, strong kid.
Now Joel Kratz throwing his last rock. Big opportunity to score a deuce in 6 and bring themselves back within striking distance of Alberta. The throw looks pretty good. Are they going to hold this? And it's a race if it sticks in time.
No, he's good.
Just barely. So with that score of 2, Newfoundland brings themselves to only 1 point behind Alberta. As we move into the last 2 ends of this game, David, what do you maybe expect to see?
Well, I mean, I think that the one thing for Newfoundland that they've been able to do is put up some center guards and get around them quite well. They're going to need to control the top of the house. Make sure that they, the rocks don't have to be in the 4-foot. The 12-foot or 8-foot is fine to control the top of the house. So they're going to get the center guards up. They're going to put some rocks in play and see if they can steal a point. Alberta's going to keep doing what they're doing right now, keeping it simple, keeping the middle open. Given that draw to Cortland if he needs it.
Looks like Owen and Cortland are having a quick meeting to discuss strategy at the beginning of this end. And Newfoundland is up to bat first. As you said earlier, David, I would anticipate this to be a center guard. Do you think we are going to see 1 or 2 center guards this end?
Well, I mean, I think it depends on where Alberta goes on their shot. So put up a tight guard. Certainly if Alberta comes around and buries it like they can, they might have to play a freeze onto it. But if not, they might put a second guard up.
So Alberta has elected to come around. Do you think there's any value in maybe throwing one to the wing this end, or
I'm not a
picking the
big fan
center?
of it. I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, I think it's so easy to get around the center guards right now that you want to block that off from Newfoundland.
I'd actually have to agree with you there, Dave. And the other thing too is by throwing one to the side, you kind of eliminate a peel path for yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good point. You never know when that's going to be a problem.
That being said, though, the one place you can't slip is behind the tee if you're going to come around that center guard.
Yeah, it's definitely advantage Newfoundland with where that shot went. They've got pretty much exactly what they want right now. A catcher in the back, a center guard coming around now to the top 12 or top 8 foot.
So Newfoundland has a really nice shot coming up here. It's looking like they're going to bury perfectly around that center guard.
Yeah, great shot.
Dead top 4.
Great shot.
Here's a really smart call, though. Cortland, instead of doing what maybe seems like the obvious call, the freeze, he's electing to move this. Now, I think this brings a couple things that could happen to play. Obviously, if the shot is made as called and you move that red one from a dangerous position, it's obviously a huge win. But say Adam here is a little bit tight and happens to tick the guard by accident, that's still a pretty good result, eh?
Yeah, it is. It's all a weight shot. I mean, as we've talked about through the game, if you throw the right weight, you're going to get the nice curl.
Looks like he has a really nice shot.
Oh, great shot. I mean, if anything, it overcurled on him. Now Newfoundland has a chance to freeze down to this and possibly later and then bring that back one into play. So
that's true.
They would have preferred to have rolled a little bit and not jammed that.
Jared Davidge with the freeze attempt. And the boys are working hard on this to get it down to the yellow rock. Unfortunately, he seems to have come up a bit light. But has he set up the double peel, maybe? That's a really smart comment. Cortland has assessed the angles, and even though it looks like there is a double peel there, more than often than not, that red probably comes and spins back and takes out your yellow in the way.
Do you think it matters?
Probably not, though.
They peel this one. They're really giving Newfoundland and Labrador the same shot again.
That's true.
And we know there's tons of curl. They can come down with even back 4 foot weight, just move it into the open and sit right there a bit.
Even considering how this Alberta team, despite their age, they can throw it pretty hard, right?
Oh, yeah.
So even if you do send that red flying into the house in the direction of the yellow, the odds of it dead jamming on that yellow are quite slim, hey?
It's true. And with Alberta having hammer, if all the rocks are in the house, jamming on it really, doesn't matter that much. Early in the end still.
Looks like this one has a bit more legs on it.
A little bit of a struggle. Too much of an adjustment from the first one.
Yeah, you see that often. I remember a coach once told me there's 2 types of people in this world. There's over-adjusters and there's under-adjusters. And it's good to know which type of person you are.
Mm-hmm. A little tight.
Oh. This could be danger. Manages to avoid that yellow in the house, but has still left his shooter up there. I like that call.
Yeah, that's what I was suggesting on the last shot. I mean, it's moved a little bit now, so a touch easier, but it was their last shot too. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I like it. I think it's a great call, and not just because I suggested it. It's all weight again, isn't it?
Yeah, very much a weight shot. His line looks fantastic.
It does. It's close.
Oh, what a shot.
Very nice. Perfect. Certainly makes Alberta think a little bit. I mean, they can't be wide and jam.
There is a double available, but as you've said, it has some risk written all over it. What I like here, though, is the weight selection for this one. It's just a recognition that on this shot, the double isn't absolutely critical, right? Just sticking another yellow one in there, making sure that you avoid the jam on the back one. Really smart call.
Yeah, whatever it takes to get to nose.
And they're working this really hard. Good shot, I think.
Yeah, it's great.
Maybe red still shot. It appears that Newfoundland is sitting shot rock, but even so, a little bit risky times for Newfoundland, hey?
Yeah, interesting call, right? They're playing a guard right now.
I think it's a little bit too early to bring another one in,
yeah.
but
Decision time, though, for Alberta, right? Do they, I mean, they can certainly come around, or they can keep peeling, which is obviously the strategy they have this in. Just peel, peel, peel.
I guess this is an interesting example of when's the right time to switch gears, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a timeout call from Les Sonnenberg.
I'm guessing Les is asking the exact same question to himself right now. So we're down to thirds, last shot.
Yes.
Two options. I mean, if you're going to peel, I guess the question is really which one you want to peel.
Yes.
Or do you switch gears, like you said, and go for the draw? And I mean, if you play the draw, you stop top four. I mean, fantastic.
Well, if you look at it from a scoreboard perspective, David, Alberta is one up with the hammer at the moment. And I would look at that and I would say basically, what can I not do here? I can't give up a steal, right?
Exactly.
So, and it's really whatever you think your best shot of not giving up a steal is. Is it making one good right now and making sure that you have that point locked down, or is it electing to peel and hope for a better shot at that single point or maybe a multiple point later on?
Yeah. I mean, I think the other consideration here, too, is which rock do you peel?
Yes.
So they're peeling the yellow one, hoping to double the two out. But if they hit a little thick and it goes through the hole, it certainly gives Newfoundland a chance to come around and put another one in there. Maybe putting Alberta in a position to shoot against two.
If you did decide to throw the peel, would you ever maybe hit that yellow on the inside and attempt to get both guards?
Yeah, that's an option. So what they've done is they've changed the peel to the rock that's really the danger rock. I mean, ideally, if you can make the double, perfect. But what Coach Sonnenberg was worried about is sending it through the middle and not getting that red one.
Great shot by Owen.
Yeah, really smart timeout.
And that's the other thing that really impresses me too. Oftentimes, especially with this age group, you see a timeout is called, and then the boys kind of lose their rhythm after a timeout, or the kids lose their rhythm after a timeout. I think that shows a lot of maturity from this team, and once again, a testament to some really good coaching that these boys, despite having their rhythm interrupted a bit, they're still able to come back after that timeout, regroup, and come back together as a team and make that shot.
Yeah, I think that comes down to practice as a team, being through events all through the year, knowing what you're supposed to say as a coach during a timeout and what you're not supposed to say. You know, over the years, we've seen those timeouts where you kind of just cringe afterwards because of maybe what was said in the wrong way. Not that it was a wrong time for a timeout, but yeah, that just comes with practice.
So Joel has decided to throw the center guard once again. The sweepers do not want to touch it. And he slips into the top part of the house. Still not bad, though, I don't think.
No, that was pretty good.
That's a little dicey to throw hack at that.
That's sure a tough one to play, isn't it? Would you ever peel the red onto the yellow and send them all back and just open it up?
I don't. You would have to hit that incredibly thin, I think, to direct the yellow back onto the red. I don't mind this call. Especially because Cortland has been drawing very well this game, right? He's had quite good weight control.
Yeah, he has. Very much.
If Skipper feels good about a draw, I like letting them throw it.
Need a big scrub.
The boys are working this hard to get it there. Are they going to get by? Small bounce.
Just a few feet light.
Yeah, just a couple. Line couldn't have been better.
So a very good chance for Newfoundland and Labrador. Just saw the path.
The thing now, though, I think it is quite important that Newfoundland sits 2 on this one, because I think maybe by accident more than design, Cortland did manage to tick that red enough that maybe an angle that wasn't there before has opened up to him.
Yeah, I agree.
So here's an interesting one. 2 ends ago, Cortland was playing actually a very similar shot and had about a foot more ice on this one.
Joel's definitely had a straighter release on his rocks this game than Cortland has. They've run very different. 13-4, I think it's a little bit heavy. Yeah.
And he slips too far. Big shot for Cortland coming up.
A couple different options, right? Draw, you could play the tap, you could play some weight on the red onto the yellow.
They chose to throw board weight at this. Board weight, run on the yellow, right back onto the red. Probably for 3. Would you ever consider maybe playing a little bit more than board on this?
Yeah, I think it's whatever you know the line for, though. It doesn't really matter too much.
That's the weight these Alberta boys have been playing most of the game, so. Oh, he looks close.
Got to hold it.
Slight over curl.
Let
Are
it
they
curl.
going to get enough
Let
of
it
the
curl.
red?
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. Obviously, that shot was there with board. However, you have to realize that you are running a rock back, and to play a run back with that amount of curl in the rock is a tough thing.
I almost feel like hitting the red one onto the yellow with some weight was the easiest way to score a single point. They were looking at how they get 3 points.
I agree. That was definitely the safer option.
So there was, there was probably an option there to make sure they got one with a little bit more weight, just hit the red onto the yellow, and it can help, but move the red out of the rings. But yeah, I mean, I didn't mind what they were playing. They were going for it. They were going for 3. But I don't know if they had a chance to really look at the other shot, the red onto the yellow.
Even just looking over your shoulder at the scoreboard, maybe being, okay, I am one up with the hammer. Just a single point here puts me in a really good position coming home. Not that this is a bad position by any stretch, but
they knew even if they didn't make it, they're tied up. They've got the hammer. They're right where they want to be.
So now Newfoundland with maybe a little bit more pep in their step here. Throwing the high center guard. And make no mistake, Aaron Feltham has executed it perfectly. What do you like, David, the tick or the come around?
Well, I think that the tick would be wonderful. I also think it's really hard.
I agree.
And especially with this much curl. So
and keeping in mind that we really haven't seen anything like that all game, right?
No.
So it's going to be a stab in the dark on ice.
I think I'd probably play the draw as well.
I'd have to agree. Oh, you can't be deep. Ugh.
I'm a big believer in whenever you're not sure what to do, you always resort back to we want to make the easy shots and force them to make the hard shots.
Yes. Newfoundland asking for a second center guard here.
I think in a perfect scenario, this one probably gets only half behind the one they just threw and covers up that button a little bit more.
I'd have to agree.
I think it's going to curl a lot. They switch to make it curl more, but I don't think they need to. They're good.
Perfect shot.
Yeah.
That's a really good setup from Newfoundland.
Fantastic.
And so here's an interesting one that I'm not sure I completely agree with. We have switched the path with the player that we're throwing now, right?
I was just thinking the same thing. When you have a chance, you throw the same shot again.
Yeah.
And I know on straighter ice, this is the turn that looks more natural because the higher guard is sticking out to the side they're coming around. But this ice doesn't matter. You can get around so easily both ways.
Not at all. The good news is, even though they have ticked that guard, that yellow is still open. And maybe perhaps if a good come around is made here, Alberta does still have an angle available to them. So here's an interesting thought. I once had a coach tell me when you're trying to steal an end, oftentimes you have to make one really good shot in that end.
Yeah, that's true, right? As soon as you get one in there, now you're in the driver's seat. Jared had struggled with his draw weight last end. He came up short and then put one just about to the hack. So, you know, nice adjustment. That's not going to be the shot that steals your point, but it can still set it up.
Yep. Jackson Hebert asked to play the double peel here. They're sweeping it early. And he's going to make noise somewhere. Oh. That was a little unfortunate, actually.
That is unlucky.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to run it straight back. Instead, gets it just off of his own.
To throw that much weight and love kiss a rock like that to not remove it from play, that's pretty unlucky.
Big opportunity for
Newfoundland
Newfoundland Labrador right now. If Jared can put one right on top of that. This is the shot you're talking about.
Is this maybe that one good shot I was talking about?
Here it is. Yeah, absolutely. I think his line's pretty good. He was a little bit back on it, which is what you want to do.
If he has the weight, he's going to have a really good shot. Looks like he's a touch heavy, perhaps.
Wow, overcurled. Overcurled.
I think that was just a bit of miscommunication, actually.
I mean, looking on the monitor right now, he curled through a hole that is maybe 1 inch wide.
Yeah.
From top 4 to back 4, top 8 to back 4.
Just a bit of miscommunication, though. Yeah. They're yelling hard for line, right? Exactly. But I'm not sure anybody ever communicated the fact that maybe we're a touch heavy.
But it's still, you know, it's still not bad. I don't like Newfoundland and Labrador doesn't need to be worried yet that they're shot rock.
No.
There's still lots of stones to come. They've got good angles on those red ones in the top 12 and top 8.
He's going to make some noise on this one.
Yeah, here we go.
What a shot.
What a great shot.
He likes that one.
Big smile.
Just a wonderfully thrown rock.
Still not out of the woods yet.
Nope.
I mean, when you're Newfoundland and Labrador and you see that happen, it does deflate you at the moment. But you got to realize you've still got a center guard up or just off center. You've got one back 4 foot. You're throwing. There's still lots of chances.
Behind the tee line.
Yeah. Exactly. Needs to move off this guard, though.
Spun to not a bad spot.
Yeah.
Owen Fensky. With a fast out turn down the pipe.
What kind of great game has Owen played today?
Fantastic. He's been lights out. And you can see it too in his body language, like he gets in the hack and you can just see the determination in his eyes, and there's no doubt in his mind that he's not making that shot.
So perfect shot here. Where would you place this?
See, I still think it's a little bit too early to come in. I think if you're a tight center guard, maybe half buried around, you get a slight miss on the peel attempt from Alberta, and then all of a sudden you have a rock that's a little bit closer to center line with an opposition rock right behind the tee line, dead behind it.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is you don't leave a double peel. Which...
And Owen's made a lot of these this game, hey?
Which they did.
I expect he's going to be quite close.
Oh, that's a little full. A little full.
I jinxed him. Just a little too back on release on that.
Yeah,
perhaps.
he threw it hard. He threw it really hard, which you wanted to. Just a hair back.
So once again, advantage Newfoundland.
That's interesting. They called a freeze. If they freeze, they're leaving Alberta to freeze on top as well.
Yes. I think ideal for this is actually right on the tee line.
Yeah, I think so. If you go top 4 tee, fully buried, you force Alberta to play the peel.
Yes.
Then you tap it back and make them make a very difficult shot to win.
Absolutely. Joel Kratz with his first. The line's looking really good.
Yeah. If anything, it's going to overcurl.
Yeah. Perhaps a little bit heavy. That could save him, though.
Sweepers like it. Here it goes sideways now. They lost it on the overcurl.
Miscommunication again. Just a case of, it was communicated that that rock was heavy, but there wasn't a response from the third as to what the line was looking like, right?
That's right.
Because if they hammer that from the hog line in, it's a different result with that rock.
And I think that there needs to be a sense of urgency too from the front end. If they know it's going to be heavy and not getting any feedback from the third, they need to have some urgency in what they're telling them.
Yes.
So just a little indecision, I think, right? More than anything, like it was kind of hope. Let's hope it stops.
Big shot from Cortland here. I really like the call. Looks like he's got a really good rock. They're sweeping it really hard. Trying to get it to the forefoot.
Great shot.
Really good shot.
Great sweeping.
Good to keep that in the top half of the house.
Another few inches would have been fantastic. Gives a chance for Joel to come in, honestly, either turn. I think they just saw the in turn. I'm not sure why they wouldn't go with that again, but either turn.
And we have a timeout called. Scott Davidge is coming out to share some words of wisdom. I think in this you really have two shots. You can either come with the outturn, and you have a little bit more margin with that one. You can elbow off your red and definitely make sure that you're shot at the end. The shot that's a little bit more precise, but perhaps a better upside, is coming with the in-turn. And with the amount of curl in this ice, you can most definitely bury at least half a rock behind that yellow one. And if Newfoundland manages to do that, I'm not sure how Cortland is going to get it out.
Yeah, I think the discussion's often around what are you leaving your opposition. So if they play both turns, they can get in for shot rock. If they play the out-turn draw, you're leaving Cortland the exact same shot he just threw. So in my mind, you want to make sure that you're changing the shot for the skip on his last one.
Oh, yeah.
So play the in-turn draw. Now you're changing it. He has to either make a really good out-turn shot or maybe some sort of hack weight, but don't give him the same shot again.
What an exciting end to this game, though, hey?
Oh, so well played. I'm so impressed with both of these teams. It just gives you a sense of the skill level of the entire field when you've got the Alberta team, at 0-2 right now, Newfoundland at 0-3, and we've seen a terrific game.
And it looks like they have decided to throw that in turn. A really well-placed rock here can make life extremely difficult for the Alberta host team.
Well, it's a draw to the button.
You bet. Joel Kratz with his last. Needs full 4. He throws it, and the sweepers think perhaps a little heavy out of his hand.
Line's good.
Sweepers don't want to touch it. Starting to curl. Still lots of room by that top yellow one, though. Is it going to finish enough in time? Is it going to...
Just a little heavy.
I think that's yellow.
I think so.
The thirds are looking at it. If it's close, you hit it just to be sure.
Well, and this is where if you're Newfoundland, if you're not sure, you just step back and leave it to Alberta to decide what to do.
Yes. Cortland Sonnenberg throwing his last.
It's a nice shot to have for your first win of the national championships, and
very much so. Just
it's great to throw your last rock, but nice that it's not too difficult.
Gotta move a red rock maybe a fraction of an inch to make sure that you're shot. Throwing his last. Throw looks good. The call is clean.
It's a good shot.
Never a doubt.
No.
Alberta host picks up their first win. And what an end to a greatly played game.
Yeah, well played by both teams.
It's pretty special for me watching, actually. I remember I've coached all these boys before on the Alberta host team. They come to Alberta Rocks every year, so I've worked with them over the past couple summers. And Cortland himself, I think the first time I saw him was when he was 7. I was playing up in the Sexsmith men's bonspiel, and he was playing with his dad Les, actually. So it's pretty cool to watch the progression of these kids from... that age, and hats off to the Newfoundland squad as well. They put together a great game, made a lot of shots.
Yeah, they're going to win a few games this week, no question. I know they haven't started out the way they wanted, but it's a good team. It's a very good team. And
so in closing, we have a couple highlight shots. That Cortland's draw for 2. Joel's draw for 1 in the 4th end.
A lot of draws made. I mean, everyone had fantastic draw weight this game. Testament to the ice, the speed held up.
This is Cortland's hit for 3 in the 5th.
Yeah, made that look easy.
Joel's hit and stick, which just hung on for 2 in the 6th. Cortland's attempt at his last one in the 7th. And most importantly, the game-winning shot by Cortland Sonnenberg, only 14 years old.
And the arms up in the air and big smiles around.
Before we leave, we will give you guys a quick update on what has happened on the other sheets. So in other boys action, Saskatchewan were winners 5-3 over PEI. New Brunswick were winners 7-3 over Nova Scotia. Ontario was took a loss to Manitoba 2-7. Quebec lost to the second Nova Scotia team 4-5. And in girls action, Northwest Territories took a loss 6-15 over Newfoundland. New Brunswick were 6-3 winners over Manitoba. The Alberta host women's team were 19-1 winners over Yukon Territory. And the Nova Scotia women dropped a loss 2-6 to PEI. It has been an absolute pleasure commentating out here. Big congratulations to the Alberta host team on their first win. This is Karsten Sturmay signing off.